This entire wreath was inspired by one little resin flower, and it pushed me to try something totally new with a new petal technique and some mesh that I haven't used in my previous videos. So stick around and see how I took that spark of inspiration and transformed it into this bold black and white beauty. Let's get started. So I want to show you this resin flower I got from my good friend Laura Grisham of Laura Grisham Designs. I will put a link to her Etsy shop, but I love this flower. I got this from her. I'm going to be using it as a center for this flower wreath, and I'm using it also as inspiration. Okay, so to make our outside petals, I have this piece of the wide stripe mesh. I cut it at 16 inches. I used a rotary cutter. We're not going to see any edge lines, so this is going to work out perfect. Okay, so I have this. I want to turn it so it's curl side up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this down. Now we want just about 3 inches on going on this side and this side. Okay, so I'm going to turn it like this. I'm going to put my finger right where these two edges meet and go up. Now, I want to bring this, because I brought this right side down, I'm going to bring this left side over. And I'll show you why it matters. Because, let's look at the back side. That is where we have this edge over here, okay? We don't want that in the front of the petal. We want that towards the back. Okay, now I'm going to turn this sideways so it kind of looks like a little house. Okay, now to make this petal, I'm going to go straight down from the very top, and I don't know, about 1.5 inches up. I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to make sure I get both the top and the bottom piece of mesh. Okay, I'm going to squeeze right there. So we have one going right in the center. And I'm going to do 2 squeezes. When I do that first one, bring it in, this side starts to go down a little bit. So whenever I squeeze on this second side, it'll be like right where that fold is. Okay, so that's that second squeeze. I'll do 1 squeeze. These didn't stay together very well. Okay, try to get these to stay together. Okay, 1 squeeze. Yeah, that didn't work very well, but you get the gist. Okay. And at this point, you just kind of want to adjust the petal to look like the way you want it. Okay, because it's not going to be perfect with each scrunch. So you kind of want to adjust it. And yes, every petal is going to look a little bit different, but you try to want to get them as similar as possible. Okay, now these should be about 6 inches long. That's where I'm going to measure these at 6 inches. And before you fully tighten it, just kind of again adjust it. Now you'll see the back side. That's why you got that kind of sticking out. That's why that goes towards the back. So you can adjust it however you want. just kind of pull on it, whatever you need to do. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to make another one. Again, we want that curl side up. Okay, 16 inches long. I'm going to bring the right side down and then kind of measure it so it's about 3 inches from this edge down to the bottom and then down to this bottom. Okay? Then go straight up and I'll fold that from left to right. And just get it so that you can see where that edge line is and where this edge line is. Kind of line those up. And kind of make sure too that you have that crease is good on this side. Okay. So this is what it looks like. It looks like a little house. I'm going to turn it on its side just so it's easier for scrunching. Okay, so straight from that very tip, I'm going to go straight down and about 1.5 inches up from the bottom. I'm going to do one little pinch, do 2 scrunches. And when I make that first scrunch, how this kind of comes down, that second scrunch will be right where that fold is, okay? And I'll kind of scrunch that in. And just because I don't scrunch very well with my thumb, so that's why I turn it around. But I'll do one scrunch and then another one right where that fold is. And then adjust it however you need to. And then we'll just take a 6-inch zip tie and zip tie that right at the 6-inch mark. So we'll trim this off, trim the bottom off, and you got your petal. Okay, so for the next petal, I'm just doing a lolly petal, but I'm going to make a double lolly petal. Now, something I am noticing, you really don't have to worry about it too much, but we have that one stripe going one way. So you might want to think about making sure that your stripes are all going one way. So I have this diamond shape where the factory edge is in the top right and bottom left. And we're going to do that for all of these, okay? So diamond shape, bring it down, and I'm just going to use a clothespin and clip that shut. Okay, so I'm going to take my white, again, factory edge on the top right, bottom left. Same thing, bring that down. Now, what I'm going to do to make this a double lolly petal, I'm going to put one right over top of the other. Now, the reason I'm doing this, again, I am using this as my inspiration, and the white is going to be like the chrome, okay? That's the reason I did just black and white. Okay, so I'm going to take that, clip away. Now, I have this white, just maybe 1/4 inch sticking out, and that's it. So to make this lolly petal, I'm going to kind of, okay, bring this around to the side. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to pull this up because this is about 7 inches. I'm going to pull this up and it's going to be about 8. From the very bottom, go up 1, 2, 3 inches, and I'll just pinch and make sure I'm pinching through both pieces of mesh. Then I'll just bring it in, bring it in. So you can see we have this like scrunch piece right here. Then we have 2 on either side. Now, I'm just going to take these 2 pieces, kind of roll that up and bring it down. And we got that. We want to push down on that piece. We don't want that piece coming up. And I want this to be even with the bottom. Okay? And just pull that in. Same thing on this side. Just kind of bring that up. Get it so it's even with that. Okay? So, I know it kind of looks a little funky right now. I'm going to partially close this. And again, we're going to make sure we're about 3 inches. That's only about 2.5. I'm going to go up just a little bit, kind of scrunch that up. So we want to be 3 inches from the bottom here. If you're not exactly 3 inches, you'll be okay. But we want them to be somewhat similar to each other. So we don't want a bunch of different sized petals. Now, this is not zip tied all the way, because now I want to adjust the petal the way I want it to look. So here I'm just going to kind of pull on the edges, not too much. Okay, kind of pull, and see these 2 side scrunches? What I want to do is kind of walk them over just a little bit. And see that? I'm going to kind of push on here so I can walk it over to this side. And then kind of push up so that this isn't so gapped. I don't want it so deep. Okay? So I'm just adjusting it the way I want it. Now, pull that shut. Okay? So there we are. We got that double 2-colored lolly petal. Okay? Now, I could leave it just like this. But what I'm thinking, just so it looks more like this petal, which I could have just used these, a bunch of these petals. Of course, I want to try something different. So what I'm going to do, right here in the middle, kind of push up on the sides. This is going to be the middle right up here. I want this to have that little tip like that. So what I'm going to do, I got a hot glue gun, and I'm just going to put a little tiny dab right there, kind of squeeze that shut, and put my clothespin there. Okay, and we don't want that much, you don't want to go too far in, just that little bit of a dab, and that's it, just to make that little bit of a, see how it has that little bit of a tip on there, and that's what I want. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this to all of these. I'll make another one for you just so we have it, so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to put this wreath together. I am going to start with these outside petals. Okay, we want to make sure we are, see this here, that goes to the back side. Okay, so I'm going to put these on the second ring from the outside. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a zip tie in. I'm using 6-inch zip ties. Okay, I'm going to put one in here. Now, see how I have this zip tie going this way, which is making the petal kind of go to the side. What I like to do, since I went that way first, I'm going to go this way, kind of crisscross it. Okay. Kind of get that, and it gets it to stand, come straight out. Okay. So I'm going to do 3 in each section. Now, this form from Wreaths of Joy, it has 4 sections for a 10-inch form. Most other places, their 10-inch forms have 5 sections. So you might want to play around with it, decide how you want, how many pieces you want per section. But I'm going to do 3 for this one, okay? And I'm going to keep going all the way around. Okay, so for our second row, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these pointed lolly petals on there, and I'm going to use this form as my guide. Where these crossbars are, I'm going to put one of my zip ties there, like just in from that crossbar. Okay. And then I'm going to go halfway to the next crossbar. So I'm going to have 8 going around this second row. I'm just going to be putting these in just like so. Oh, and I forgot to show you, okay? These outside petals, they're slightly overlapping. So what I did, I just put one and then have one back, then one forward, one back, kind of all the way around there. That way it shows just a little bit of depth that way. So, okay. So now we're going back to this, and you can see they're just almost touching, but not quite. They're close enough together. They're not, I didn't want them to overlap at all. So right now I just have them close enough that they're touching almost, and then it's going to go all the way around. And again, I'm going in one hole, skipping this hole here, coming out the other. Okay, so I decided instead of using both the black and white lolly petals with that tip, I'm just going to use black in the towards the center. So I'm just going to make these lolly petals. Okay, kind of stretch that, go 3 inches up, pinch, Okay, so we got those 3. Pull that in, pull that in, so they're basically even with each other. Down at the bottom here. Get the zip tie in there. And then I'm going to shape my petal. And again, with these side scrunches, I'm just going to walk that towards the outside. And then kind of get that petal shaped. And then I will go ahead and pinch that top and glue it. Okay? So I'm doing the same thing with these. It's just going to be just black and not the black and white. Okay, and I will be right back. Okay, so we got all of that on, and I decided to make these petals without the white. And I made 8 of them because I thought I was going to be able to fit 8. I'm not going to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put 6 around here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go from the bottom of these last petals. I'm going to go just about an inch down, and I'm going to go in between these here. In one, kind of skip a hole and come out. Kind of the best that I can figure, it would be just about an inch. And get that in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to go kind of to the where they're still touching, so that we kind of hide what's behind them, like in between these petals. We want to make sure that that's not seen. Okay, so I'm just going to go all the way around. We should be able to fit 6 petals. Okay, so we were actually able to fit a 7th one in there. And I'm just going to adjust these a little bit just to make sure they kind of all look nice and full and very similar to each other. Okay, now let's worry about the center. Again, I am using this as my center. I am going to be putting this on a styrofoam disc. I got this 5-inch from Dollar Tree, and you can see that's just too big. So what I'm going to do, you can see this here. I'm going to set this aside. What I took this 4-inch half styrofoam ball. Okay, so we know that's 4 inches. I just put that here, traced it with a Sharpie, and now I'm just going to cut it. Okay, so we're going to have a 4-inch styrofoam disc. You could probably actually buy a 4-inch styrofoam disc off of Amazon, but this is what I had, so that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to cut that down, and this will go in the center of that. Okay, so I'm going to cut this using a cheap steak knife. Okay, so you can see I took my 5-inch, cut it down to 4-inch. Actually, it's 3.5. By the time I sanded it down, it kind of went to 3.5. It's fine. It's still going to work. Okay. So I have this. What I did, I took some white of that wide stripe mesh. I cut it at 7 inches. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this also at 7 inches. Okay. And I did that to 2 pieces. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to crisscross these. Put this down, and this is going to cover the center here. So now, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to take a my 18-inch wire, just put that through there. Okay, so I got this from Joann Fabrics whenever it was closing. But I will put an Amazon link to this. It's just a stem wire. This is 18 inches long. Actually, holy mackerel, it's 19 inches long. The ones that I've been able to find on Amazon are only like 16 inches. We don't need this full 19 inches. I'll tell you that. So, but this is a thinner gauge. I think this is the 22 gauge. So it'll stick through here real easy. All I want to do is bend it in half, kind of stick it right through where the center would be, and push that through. Okay, it's a lot easier than gluing it to the back. So we got that kind of going through there. So I'm also going to use these greening pins. Okay, these are 2 inches long. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these down. Okay, you can see I cut part of that. So now it's just a little over an inch. We don't care if it's even or anything like that. You'll be fine. Okay, so it's about, a little over an inch, 1.25 inches maybe. And I'm just going to use these to attach the mesh to the styrofoam. So I'm going to cut up several of these. I'm going to say at least 8. Okay, so I ended up cutting 9 of them. And you can see there's some, they're not even an inch long on the one side. It's going to be fine. I'm not too worried about it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to crisscross that mesh, stick this in the center, and I'm just going to start at one corner, bring it over, and with the greening pin, just kind of at an angle, because we want to make sure it doesn't go through the front of that styrofoam. Okay, I'm going to stick that in. And as I'm going, I'm just going to cut off that corner. Okay, then I'm going to go to the opposite corner, kind of get that in there. Again, at an angle. And I'm just going to keep going until I form a circle. Okay, and you can see with this that was sticking out, I'm going to kind of pull that in, and these little corners, kind of get those to go in together. And it might be a little bit more difficult to get the greening pen to go through all of those, but you can do it. And so you can see it kind of looks like a circle. Yeah, we gotta maybe push these in a little bit, kind of form it. But that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to use both hot glue and E6000 to glue this onto the center of this styrofoam. Okay? And I will see you right back here. Okay, so I have this glued on here. Now, the E6000 is to get it to last a little bit longer. Make sure that in the heat of summer and stuff like that, it will definitely hold on. But that hot glue, I want it to do right now so that it's on there now so that I can work with it. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just going to take this wire, kind of stick it right through the center here. Okay. And just tie it to the back. Okay. And I'm going to keep this long for now. Make sure that it's where I want it. It's perfectly center. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and cut that down just enough. Now, for this, we probably would want to cover the back just to make it look nicer. I have both black and white felt. I'll probably just use the black just to attach it to that outer wire frame. Okay, I'm going to show you what I did real quick. I cut some black felt into a circle, and I ended up putting little slits in the sides, and so that I can see them, I went ahead and put zip ties in there. I actually think I want to use black zip ties because I do have some black 4-inch zip ties, just so it makes it look a lot nicer on the back. However, just so I could show you what I did, I put the white on there. I might as well do the white. But what I did, instead of, because my felt wasn't big enough that I had, and I really wanted to use black. So instead of that outer ring, I made it big enough so that it would fit on this ring here. Okay, the second one from the outside. So I'm just going to place that on there and kind of get these to go and just attach them to the form. So this is our finished wreath. I think it looks fantastic. It is so bold with the black and the white, but of course you could do any color you want, right? So, but I wanted to show you that inspiration of that resin flower I got from my friend Laura Grisham. It just really, I love the actual resin flower. You can get this in other colors. I just chose black with the chrome, but she does sell them in other colors, okay? But I thought that with the black and white, and you can see like how that has the tips. That's kind of why I decided to go with these tips on these Lolly Petals. I thought that'll just, yeah, kind of go with that a little bit better, right? So I think it turned out fantastic. And if you look around to the back, yeah, the black that I had wasn't wide enough to go all the way around to the outside ring. So I just went to the second from the outside. It still looks a heck of a lot better than it would if I didn't cover it at all. So I'm happy with it. So, but I just wanted to see what you thought about this. What colors can we do? Can we, just, I mean, we could probably do, like rainbow colors. We can just really do all kinds of stuff other than just black and white. Although this would be something great for year round. But thank you so much for watching. My name is Patty Davis. I'm with Crooked Tree Creations, and I'll see you in our next video.